to Meet the Missouri Horse Professional. I'm your host, Jennifer Hurt of JR's Equine Performance and Wellness, and I'm interviewing Missouri horse professionals in your area. This week's talented Missouri horse professional. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Missouri Horse Professional. I'm your host, Jennifer, and we are here on location at JR's Equine Performance and Wellness. Today my guest is Denise Alvarez of Stormlily Marketing. And boy, you guys are in for a real treat, especially if you are a Missouri horse professional yourself. So Denise, I want to thank you for joining us. Would you like to tell the audience what Stormlily Marketing is?
You bet. Thanks for having me, Jennifer. I am so excited to be here. And yeah, so Stormlily Marketing is my business where I get to help horse professionals, horse business owners with their marketing, and I do that specifically in teaching them some basic how-tos and mindset shifts to really create a strategy around your online marketing presence. Really working on messaging so that your website, your social media, your email marketing can all work together to help you turn your online audience into your actual clients and customers. So that's the gist.
I think that's amazing. And and marketing is probably the hardest part of the horse professional. Yeah. I believe, as a horse professional myself, marketing is the toughest, because that's when you're a Missouri horse professional, that seems to be the area that you have least time for.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you wear many, many hats. Like, yes. I work with a number of entrepreneurs, and mostly, honestly, who I work with is entrepreneurs, which is, I know most of you all that are Missouri horse professionals, that's what you are. Even if you don't put the hat on and say that's what I am, you are an entrepreneur, and therefore you have many hats that you're wearing. Marketing is one of them, and it really is a key component to building. My goal really, as I work with horse business owners, is to help them build a sustainable business, right? So you may be in a place where you're like, I have a wait list. Okay, that's awesome. What are you doing so that that's sustainable for the long term? What are you doing so that you have a list of people to reach out to when you do have an opening? How are you getting in touch with people? Are you just texting everybody when you have an opening? Or are you able to send an email to people that have been waiting for your services, right? How are you using social to do that? And really, social is what a lot of people assume when they think marketing these days, because the world has changed so much in that realm, and it is a great free resource, but you've also got other avenues that to build a sustainable marketing strategy, you've got to keep all those components in place, and it can be overwhelming. And so that's why I love to break it down and make it doable and practical. I have a podcast, so that's totally free for anybody, how to market your horse business, and we really just break that down so that you have a doable strategy that you can put in place.
And that's the thing, is that social media is constantly changing. Like, for me, and since when I think I've got it all figured out, it's changed. And then I don't know how to reach people. And so I don't think social media is reliable, but a lot of people think that's enough. Now, is social media enough? Like, if you have a Facebook page, is that enough?
Right. Do you actually need a website? That's really the big question. Yeah. And it's not enough. And here's why. Well, let me back up and say you're not the only one that asked that question. It's super common because Facebook is free, right? People are like, I can just create a page, I can create a group, I can create a profile. And I'm saying Facebook, but Instagram, YouTube, right? There's so many other things out there now too. And they're free, right? So you're like, it's free marketing. Why do I need a website? But the reason they're free is because you don't actually own it. Somebody else owns it, and they're letting you rent that space. So that's an analogy that I use often to help people understand that you do need a website, and it's not just because I design websites. So that's part of what I do, is design and copywriting as well. And so I don't say that just because of that, but truly, you rent the space that you're using on social media. You own your website. So how many of you have actually had somebody lose access to their page or profile, or maybe you've experienced it yourself, and then you're out of luck and you don't have access any longer to that audience and that following that you spent so much time building up, right? It doesn't just happen to the big people. It happens to the everyday. I had a client who had, I think she had maybe 1,500 followers on Instagram, and her account got hacked, and they were using it to sell cryptocurrency, and she could not get it back. And still to this day, she's reported it multiple times. I've reported it for her, and it's not been taken down. She had to start over from scratch.
Oh, wow.
And so you don't own that access, right? So it's a great tool. I love social media as a tool, but it's not the only one that you should rely on. So your website is a space that you own, and you own the journey that they have. You own the contact information that is given to you on your website, so that gives you even more direct access, which is why I teach email marketing. The journey as far as getting them there to actually becoming customers, bringing the horses in for training, calling you for a body work appointment, whatever it is that you're doing in the industry, you own that experience on your website. You don't own it on social media. You're renting.
And, that's a good point to make on the social media because, we kind of focus on ranch riding, reining horse, cutting horses. And if you post on Facebook cutting horses, right away you're going to get a flag that says, "Oh, are you going to do harm to yourself?" The keywords. Where if you have a website, your SEOs, which I know you help people with, you can put cutting horse.
Yeah.
And you can get that information out there. So I do agree with you that a website is very important. Now, let me ask you this, because I'm sure some of the audience people want to know, how, with Facebook, you have Facebook groups and you can draw people to your Facebook page. How do you draw people to your website?
Oh, that's a great question. SEO is a great part and piece of that. So that would be search engine optimization. So basically, it's how do you come up when somebody searches for horse training, Springfield, Missouri, right? Or boarding or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have that. But there's so many components. You could do a whole series. And I have an upcoming podcast episode just about SEO because it is a really big part of how you show up.
And it can be confusing.
Yeah, and it can be. And there's reasons you hire professionals for it, but there are things that you can do, right?
Yeah.
So I have a free checklist. If you go to my website, I have free resources. Actually, I have a free SEO basics checklist, so you can check that out too. So there's that aspect. There's also, honestly, we talked about before, like getting scrappy. So to be honest, like a lot of times what happens on social and with your website is I'm creating it and I'm waiting for people to come to me. And that's not how it works, right? So even if you create a website and you have all the keywords, if you don't have any traffic, then it's not really going to be loved either. So as far as how do I get people to my website, you need to be telling people, you need to have it on your business cards. If you have business cards, if you don't, get some of those made, right? You need to have it on all your promo materials, your advertisements. You need to be linking to it every once in a while on your Facebook, like creating posts that sell and get them to go to your Facebook page. Or I'm sorry, to your website. A blog can be a great thing. There are ways to do it. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. There's ways to do content to get people to your website. So having resources that you can send people to on your website can be a very good thing as well. And getting referrals. I mean, there's so many. I love that question. You're inspiring a new podcast episode, I think. Like, how do I get more people to my website? I think that's great because there's a lot of different ways. But the reality is you don't just create it and wait for people to come to you.
Right.
But you have to at least have it first.
And what I've liked that you and me have discussed in the past is your email list to help remind people to come back and check your website and stuff. So go ahead and talk to us about email mailings.
Yeah, so I consider email marketing literally the most underrated marketing tool that equestrian entrepreneurs are not using.
That's awesome.
And it's, again, one of those things that it can start out be free. Like there are email service providers that are free, so it doesn't even have to cost you to actually house them and send emails. But here's the deal. Again, it's that direct access. So for people that like stats, think about this, okay? Social media, organically, meaning without paid ads, you are likely to get 3 to 5% of your audience to actually view your content. Right?
Wow.
So when you look at email marketing, open rates on average, a low open rate would be 15%. A high would be 30. I have an equine photographer client and regularly she's 50% open rate and people are wanting to see her emails and she sends weekly emails. And so if you think about that, now she's also still very active on social. She's used social to build her email list, but she knows the people that are more likely to buy her prints and to come to her retreats because she's an educator are the people that are on her email list. And so it doesn't matter what area you are, it doesn't matter what size you are. Email marketing can be really undervalued, but really create a lot of value inside of your business.
Wow.
Even once a month. Like, it doesn't have to be like this. I'm afraid, here's the common objection. I'll tell you now, a lot of people are hearing and saying, aside from time, right? We all have the objection of time. Aside from that, is I feel like I'm spamming people. Like, I don't like to get sales emails, so I don't want to send them. And the example I just gave you shows you that people are going to open your emails if you're providing value and because they've asked for them. Because you're right. If you go buy a list and start emailing, you're spamming, right? If you go somewhere and start just collecting email addresses without permission, if you're just going to websites, I've seen people do that. I've seen people hire interns to like go to websites and just get email addresses and start emailing them. That is not okay. That is spamming. It's actually illegal, believe it or not. There are laws about that. But if you are collecting email addresses from people that are saying, hey, I do want to hear from you. When you have a special, tell me. When you have an opening, tell me. There's a ranch that's out. Oh, I won't remember right now where they're at. But she has a ranch goods, so like she has coffee and things like that. And then she also sends out a recipe like once a month, and she sends out coloring sheets. So providing value to people, right?
Giving them an incentive to open it.
Yes,
and look.
exactly. So it doesn't have to be that you're selling every time you send an email.
Gotcha.
That would get spammy after a while. But if you're giving value, if you're providing a free tip in the realm of what it is that you do, sending them maybe to a recent post you did on Facebook or your newest YouTube video and letting them know what's there. If you're providing value, people want value. They want to be served.
They do.
It's just how you go about doing it.
Yes.
And again, you can do it once a month. I have another client, she's an equine photographer as well, who sends her emails once a month, and they are packed with value, and she gets a return on her investment every time. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. So without giving people pricing,
Sure.
like what, well, for one, we're going to go ahead and put your contact right here.
Yeah,
but
you bet.
what would they expect? Like if they contact you and said, I need help today.
Yeah.
My marketing sucks. I need you.
Right.
Save the day, Denise.
Right now, there are two main services that I'm focused on. So all the things of marketing you can learn on the podcast, right? I touch on lots of different things. But as far as the one-on-one services that I'm providing, it is coaching and then website content and design. So coaching is something that's, some people are like, well, what the heck? How do you do coaching in marketing?
Yeah.
You know. So here's what I found. There are a lot of people who are saying, look, Denise, I'm willing to do the work. I just don't know what to do. Right?
That was
like,
me.
I don't know what to put on social media.
Yeah.
I don't know what to put in an email. I think my website's not getting traction, but I don't know why.
Right.
So in my coaching program, it's 3 months. It's one-on-one. It's called Take the Reins. And literally we start with narrowing down who is your audience first. Because what happens a lot of times is you jump into these other things, right? You jump onto social, you jump onto your website, you hire somebody, and they say, send me what you want the website to say. So you write some things out, but you're not really sure who you're trying to attract, who you're best fit for. And that's why it's not working. So we start with the basics in terms of the important basics, in terms of your strategy and saying, who are you for? What is your messaging?
Sorry, you guys might remember Mia from our old video. This is mine and Ron's giant schnauzer. She decided to come and say hi to Denise. So anyway, Mia likes
like,
attention.
jump in your lap, is what I
Mia. Yeah, we'll pause here for a moment.
Good.
All right, guys, we're back from the interruption from Mia. She had to, kind of photobombing.
Right.
Mia likes to photobomb.
They do.
But anyway.
Okay, so the one-on-one coaching, so we start with a strategy of your audience, okay?
Yeah.
So, and really figuring out your messaging, and then from there, then we put together a plan for the email marketing. What are you going to put in your emails? How are you going to get people on your list? What are you going to do on social? Not just what are you going to post, but how are you going to use that to build your business? Because so often what happens is you're just posting without a strategy, and then you're saying, I have no traction, but it's because you got up today and thought, oh shoot, it's been a week, I better post something. Let me go take a picture and say, had a great day on, or a great ride, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So we really talk about how are you going to use social media to meet your audience where they are, to take them along on the journey to become your customers. And then we do website as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we audit the website together, and then I really just tell you, because again, the coaching is not me redoing everything for you, it's giving you the tools that you can take and implement on your own. So it's for that person who's saying, Denise, I either have somebody on my team that I can give this to, or I'm willing, I'm able, I will post on social media, or hire somebody to do the website if I don't do it. I just need you to tell me what to do. Where am I missing the pieces here? I put those together.
And let me ask you these couple questions. Is with website, is it better to have less or more?
In terms of
info.
Okay.
For instance, as a lot of you know, we were focused on rehab, and now we kind of switched our focus. We're more on the equine performance, showing and boarding, getting into what we want to do, instead of kind of doing what we thought the main public wanted us to do. And so, which I think is important. You got to do what you want to do. But so like I had all the rehab info, and it went into detail. And then for a while there, I thought, I'm throwing out too much info.
That's a good question. So this is where the copywriting comes in, which is, honestly, this is why for websites that I design, I'm working on one for someone right now, and we're finishing up her copywriting segment, because I will only do websites that I copyright for, meaning all the words on your website, that's your copywriting. And it matters. It matters greatly. And so I will only do websites that I'm doing copywriting for because of that, because those are great questions, and we can kind of work through that together. So to answer your question, here's what I often see happen with the detail things. Is literally, I was working on this lady's website yesterday, and this happened. I'm asking her, tell me more about what's included in this. She's doing a membership program, right? So she's giving the details of like very detailed things. And what I want to know, what you want to focus on is the so that question, okay? So it's good to give the details, but really you want to tell them, what's that going to do for them? What are they going to be able to accomplish on the other side of that, right? So you have to actually tell them the results they're going to get. That being said, you also have different buyers that are coming to your website. Some people want to know those details, some people don't. So you need to make it where those that don't need to can scan through and see like, okay, what are the basics of what's included? And then you can give some more detailed work, absolutely, for people that
like
you don't want to leave
or
them
something.
hanging. Yeah, and you can give some of the details and not leave them hanging, but sometimes it's too much. And then really they're like, I don't even know what to do with this. And I don't really know how it's going to help me. Because that's what they need to know. Like, we find ourselves, because we know the stuff, right? We're using the jargon. You might, when you're talking rehab, list all these things, and they're like, I don't even know what half of that is.
Right.
I just need to know what's it going to do for my horse and what's like the core, you know? And then you can always give them more details on the other side.
And that's how I've kind of changed the website. But, you know, as a busy person like me, if I go on a website, I'm kind of pretty much scrolling pretty fast, getting to zooming in on what I think I need to see and know. But then I get a lot of people who might send me questions.
Right.
You know, well, tell me more about this and this and this, you know, and so then it's like, okay, there are people who do need.
Exactly. You have different buyers. And that's the thing. Sometimes we just write for ourselves, but you got to write for your audience. Yeah. And remember, you got to have both, you know, honestly. So there are drop downs that you could do to provide that more information if you felt like you needed to provide the details. Now, interestingly, when we talked about SEO, that actually has a lot to do with it too, because Google is looking for certain keywords on your website. Yeah. And so you'll also want to, you know, include that. So sometimes people think they need to have a lot less information on there, but Google actually then doesn't have as much to grab. And so there's that plays into it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, Denise, before I ask my last question, I want to touch on your podcast, because you give, is it weekly podcast?
It's moved to bi-weekly. For the first 100 episodes, we did 100 straight weeks pretty much. And then, and now it's bi-weekly. Yeah.
Now, and this is free. People, you can listen to these podcasts for free, and you give a lot of good tips. Free tips in these podcasts. And I love when you guys, I still have my day job. We got to pay for this somehow, you know. So I have a job as a paralegal. I listen to podcasts every day going in and out. And so I think that's great that you can get these free tips. So you guys, when you're driving or even horseback riding, you can be listening
I have
to your
people tell me
podcast
all the time that they're mucking out stalls listening to the podcast. And like, that's their chore time, and that's when they listen.
So then you're multitasking, working on your marketing and working on your horse stuff. So that's great. And with the podcast, are you still doing where you interview people?
Yes. So friends, go back and listen to earlier episodes, and you'll meet Jennifer on there as well. We talked about your open house back when you all first opened this facility and putting on events.
3 years ago, guys.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's a mix of, I have some that I've interviewed, different people, and then I also will just come in and kind of teach, so to speak. It's teaching, you know, lessons on marketing as well. So it's a nice mix. Yeah, I love to get to bring people in that we can learn from. So the SEO episode we're going to have this fall is actually, I'm bringing in an expert, because that's why I have a basics checklist, but there are things that he knows, he's really that's his focus, right? Just like in the horse world, you have different disciplines and focus areas, that's his. And so it's fun to get to bring people in. So I have, you just go check them out, howtomarketyourhorsebusiness.com or stormlily.com/podcast, either one, or just look on your favorite podcast player. But there's a lot of fun people. I got to have, if anyone's Road to the Horse fans, Mike Major, who's won the past 2 years, I got to have him on the podcast last year, which was so fun. And then his daughter, who does his marketing as well. Those, of course, are some of the most popular episodes, because people want to hear kind of what he says in terms of business. Because so often you hear just the horse part, and so it's fun to hear the business side of things.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very important, especially in the horse business, because people might think it's a big world, but it's a small world. And you got to compete, you know, and a lot of the people who are been there, done that, and it's worked for them, we can learn a lot from them. So definitely stalk them. I'm
a fan of, you can learn anywhere. I have an episode on learning at a Kenny Chesney concert or a Garth Brooks concert, because I'm always, and I'm sure many of you are that way, just like always paying attention to what other people are doing, and you can take it and apply it to your own business all the time.
And you need to. Well, is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know about your business and services?
I appreciate that. Truly, honestly, I love to give practical homework. And so what I would say is to take something to apply. Like, obviously, if you're thinking coaching sounds good to me, I need a website, those types of things, I would love to visit with you and see if we're a fit for one another. But as far as if you're thinking, okay, what do I take away from today and what's something I can apply in my business right now, it would be thinking about the audience that you're serving and thinking about the clients that you want to duplicate. When I talk about messaging with my marketing clients, that's what we really hone in on, is yes, what's your vision for your business? We talk a lot about that. And then we also talk about who do you want to work with and how can we create messaging that brings more of those right people in. So my homework would be, think about your messaging, and are you really bringing and attracting the people that you love to work with and the people that you want to duplicate, so that you can build a business that you love for the long term. So
That's important, guys.
there's some homework for you.
We should all be doing what we love.
Exactly. That's why
Yeah.
you got into it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing, especially in the horse world. That's why you got into it, because
Yeah.
you love what you were doing.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Well, this is the part of the interview where I flip it around and have you ask me a question about JR's Equine Performance and Wellness.
Yep. So you kind of primed the pump for me. I wanted to hear about your name change because,
Yes.
as we said, I was here a few years ago for the grand opening, and it
Yeah.
was not that. It was different. So tell us a little
It
bit how you
was
changed that and how you came to that.
Difference. Okay, so for those who might not know, we did recently change our name. We were JR's Equine Spa and Retreat, and we changed to JR's Equine Performance and Wellness. We made the change because we feel Equine Performance and Wellness better showcases what we do here. When we chose the JR's Equine Spa and Retreat, there was a couple reasons why we chose that name. One, being spa, because we are not licensed veterinarians here. We do offer great therapies. They are non-invasive, and I like to call them wellness therapies, not, even though they are used in a lot of healing and they will quicken up healing for a lot of injuries. However, in Missouri, unless you're a licensed veterinarian, you really can't say you help heal. So we chose spa because these therapies are used in spa settings as well. So that's why we chose the JR's Equine Spa. And then we done retreat because, you guys, we were actually on our land going to put a couple cabins so people could haul their horse in, stay in the cabins while they use the therapies and rehab their horses. Now, we do plan to put a couple cabins in, but this probably won't happen for another couple years. So we still have JR's Equine Spa and Retreat as like a background, you know, especially for tax purposes. You guys, that's a nightmare in itself, setting all that stuff up. So, but JR's Equine Performance and Wellness better describes what we do here. We are all about the performance horse. You know, that's one reason why we grabbed these therapies. I'm sure most of you know our stories as to why we got into offering the therapies, and it's because our stallion, who was on his show career, got injured. And so we have the mental thinking that, especially with breeding animals, they should have a show record behind them. You know, if you're going to breed on, they have to prove themselves. And so we are all about that. And so you got to do that through the performance. And we have been building this facility, let's see, seven going on 8 years now. And we're still not done building, but we are tired to the point where we want to enjoy what we build. And that is in the performance. I mean, we've got some great stock here for the ranch riding, reining, and cutting divisions, some quarter horses and some Arabians. And we want to do the half quarter horse, half Arabians. And so the JR's Equine Performance and Wellness, because we do want to fit horses as well for other people. You know, you guys, this is something that nobody really knows about me is I used to work with horses, but I love working with the babies, the weanlings, the yearlings, the 2-year-olds. And a lot of people don't like that because a lot of it's groundwork. They just want the saddle and the fun stuff. I love doing the groundwork. That, you know, especially if I love getting them where I can just use my body to just kind of signal and then they move their bodies in certain ways. Because to me, if you can control an animal without actually having something that's controlling them, that just thrills me to death, you know. And so that's why I like the fitting and conditioning, because you can get a horse to actually fit and condition themselves without actually laying your hands on them. Really could. But anyway, I'm getting off I ramble. That's what I do. I think everybody's used to that. But that is why we changed the name. And so far we've had a lot of people really like that.
Good.
So,
well, it really speaks to that idea that we talked about of really narrowing down your messaging so that you can bring in the right people. And
exactly.
The reality is everybody is in a process. So it's okay that, you know, it took you some time to get there.
It did.
And, you know, you may change it later on, or you may fine tune who you're for through your messaging. And that's part of it. But yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to hear you say that, because from a marketing point of view, I like hearing that feedback. And so, all right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video. I see Mia's trying to photobomb us again. So anyway, Denise, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. You guys, Denise is a little under the weather. So this has been really awesome that she has plowed through this. And that just goes to show what she will do for your business. You know, even if she's not feeling very good, but she has still got your back and is going to help. So that's another point I want to bring, guys. You know, in marketing is if you like this content, others might too. So please like, share, comment on this. This is how we're going to bring awareness to other Missouri horse professionals and even bring to their clientele for those Missouri horse professionals the services. That's why we do this interviews of Meet the Missouri Horse Professionals, is to get the word out, because there's a lot of great professionals out here and we don't know about them because, I don't know, we're not marketing right. So, that's why we're getting all
We'll talk about that.
That's right.
Well, I'll say this too. If you have questions, that could be a comment that you can leave.
Oh, Mia, you're going to bring down
if
the
you have questions about
system.
marketing, then drop them, and that
Yes,
can be questions
that'd be great.
in your video.
Yes, so you
yeah,
guys
and
hear
I'll
that?
watch for those. Yeah.
Comment on this video, and Denise will grab those questions and help you guys. We got to have each other's backs. That's what I'm going to say there. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for joining us this week. I want to thank Denise for being our guest, and we will see you next time.